One of my favorite moments of my life happens to be, and I don't know if I've ever told this to Bruce, to you, or any of my other Canadian friends here. This occurred in London, Ontario, Canada. The scene I'm about to relate. I was showing the text of light, introducing it there. And it was a beautiful and wonderful day because Jack Chambers was with me all day. We were together, and then came the show in the evening. And you had a kind of gathering that you get in a place like London, Ontario, where there aren't many art events, but there's a kind of intensive crowd, and people are hungry. You know, they're coming for the event. They're going to see an event, hear what I have to say, and we're all pretty happy together and kind of hushed intensity. And the film starts up, and I kind of walk to the back of the hall because I've needed to stand up for some reason, and I'm like leaning against the wall at the back, and it's a medium-sized hall, and down front are intensively gathered a small clutch of happy people, including Jack, you know, like sopping up the text of light. The door, and this was in the engineering building. The door opens, and in comes what's like archetypical engineering student. I mean, he had just the right kind of portfolio and the right kind of stance, and the whole thing of him immediately said engineering student. I could have been wrong, but in the retrospect, I had some length of time to study him, and I'm sure I'm right. Engineering student. Came in, and he stepped in the door, and he stopped, and he looked at the screen like that. He stood still. Then he moved to leave, and then he stood like that. Then he kind of shook himself and took a step out, and then he turned around and he stood like that. And I swear to you, like in various stances, it went on like that for the whole length of the film. And finally, at one point, he's kind of he's tired, but he doesn't want to commit himself to a seat, so he goes down on one knee. He sets his briefcase down. Then the next thing, he's down on both knees in the middle of the aisle at the back of the room, watching the screen. Then, very near the end of the film, he gets really distressed, and he grabs his thing, and with some anger, he turns to leave, and he gets as far as the door, and he stops, and he turns around, and he stands, and he's there for the end of it. Then a bunch of people applaud and get up, and they're very enthusiastic, you know, and most of them are pretty happy, and they're talking, art crowd babble, and they start up the aisle, and he stands there watching them in equal amazement as he had watched the film, and as they all go by and around him and out into the hall, and then I left to join them, and so far as I know, he's still standing there staring at that screen. So that's the best saying. He had that work without presumption of art or anything, and I like to think that it had some beneficent effect as mystery, which finally it all is, upon his mind.